Right, so we'll start with overall thoughts on 1920 season. If you had to encapsulate it.
Overall thoughts, I think we were rolling, and I was really confident going into Belfast. And then, once if we got out of there with four, who knows what could have happened. And it was, at that point in time, everybody, I could just tell that everybody was dialed in, everybody was focused, ready to go, and who knows what could have happened. So that was the frustrating part. If I'm going to start with the end of the season there, but beginning of the year, it was a test for us, and we weren't playing bad. We just found ways to lose. We were out playing teams, and we were losing, and then for the guys to stick with it, stay positive, and get out of that, and then start playing the right way. It turned into a confident group, and we knew we were a really good team, and we just had to stay consistent. So it was the way it ended with a 100-year pandemic is bizarre, but I think if we would have kept going, we would have been running for it.
And I remember during that stretching, I think it was September, where it was like nine losses out of 10 games kind of thing. I remember doing interviews in the weeks, and all the guys were like, "There are good things coming out." And I remember doing specifically for some reason one with Brian Connolly, where he said, "This has not been a disaster. That we're doing a lot of good things. It's just the little things at the end that were costing us."
Right. I mean, and that comes with systems, and every single player there, besides actually George, we're new systems, new everything. So there's little details that takes a little bit to figure out, and once everybody dialed in and we're focused on those things, we were rolling. We were a really good team.
And then it kind of all built to a head. And then we got to October 23rd, and we had a game against Manchester midweek in the Cup that we ended up losing. And then Sam did that interview that's become very synonymous and a bit well known that he did. Did you listen to that interview?
Well, I think it starts with everybody taking accountability for their own actions out there. I mean, we had lazy back checks tonight. We had lazy plays with guys staying in the F3 position. We had lazy plays at blue lines, including myself and stuff like that. So it's just everybody needs to take accountability, whether that's watching more game film and realizing where you're screwing up, or if you know it, just get mean. Don't do it again. Get angry at yourself. Take accountability. Like I said, it's not. There's no big secret to all this. It's literally just going out and playing a simple, hard hockey game, and we're not doing that right now, and it's obviously causing some serious problems. I mean, the one thing that is good about this group is, off the ice, no one's satisfied. The thing that we need to do is change it on the ice. The fans are a sixth player on the ice for us, and so we need them to stick with us. And they deserve so much better. Honestly, it's been pathetic so far because we just almost at a loss of words because it's frustrating. We're controlling our own destiny right now. We're the ones making the mistakes. It's not like we're getting outplayed maybe once or twice this year, but we're the ones causing us to lose games. It's all coming from our mistakes, not anything that any team is doing to us.
I did, and it was great. It takes confidence to do that, and it's a little trickier for me to really call out the guys because for a lot of different reasons. But it was well said, and it was right on the point. And I think next game we played, he led by example, had a great game, and from then on out we started rolling. So that was it wasn't quite what Messier did. I don't know if you know what he did in the playoffs, but it was a pretty powerful thing to do, and to back it up is even harder.
Then that next game was that 5 game where I think he scored the winner with 40 seconds to go. And then from then on, until I think the league finished, we were probably the top team in the league from that point going forwards.
Correct. That was a lot of fun, that game. After he scored, after we won, called that timeout there, and you try not to celebrate as a coach. You want to keep it keep it calm, but I had a little fist pump there. That was the crowd was behind us. It was a lot of fun.
It wasn't long after that, and there's that Belfast doubleheader at home that you point to a lot as the turning point of everything.
In my opinion, obviously, I think it was a little coincidental that we started rolling after we beat Fife there, but that weekend, from all the systems, we were perfect, almost perfect. We played really well systematically, and obviously it showed on the scoreboard. And then everybody, I think the positivity and the confidence and realizing that if every single person's on the same page doing the right things, it's going to be a lot of fun. And it clicked with everybody, and that was definitely the turning point for sure.
And it clicked just in time before you went away to Denmark for the Continental Cup.
Right, and then we that was, the first round. We played well, got the job done, expected to, had confidence. And then on the second one, IIHF rules, technically, it came down to a shootout, and depending on what's more valuable, Jake has a breakaway and in overtime hits the crossbar. We were very close. We played really well. And then, I know we didn't technically win anything, the silver, but to have those guys battle like they did with the amount of guys we had was really special to be a part of.
Well, you got, and one of the things that factors into that second round was that you had Brett Pelini coming back into the team after a lengthy layoff. I think Jason went out there and he wasn't fully healthy, and you were limited on D-men. You're trying to fit Brett back in where Dylan had been playing so well between Sam and Jake. So
right.
A lot of challenges on top of everything else.
We did have some injuries. I think Bulmer hurt his shoulder, I think, like the first shift. So he was battling in that first game, and then he was out. Jason hurt his ankle, and a few other guys were out. So I remember we were playing 4D, maybe 5 at times. So it was a battle, and injuries are tough. And to have it happen at that point, it's tough pill to swallow. But again, we were an inch away from winning the Continental Cup. So that was really hard. I remember doing an interview up with BBC, and it was I had trouble communicating. I was very, very angry after that first game to losing a shootout like that. It was a great hockey game, from our league to their league, 2 top teams. Hopefully, it gets noticed. That's some good hockey.
And it was a good atmosphere as well, especially with the home fans and their massive drums sat behind all the players and things.
Right. That's an experience. I miss that. That's huge, to be not in a place where the fans just have to drive. They have to fly, book tickets, book hotels to come and support you with a full section screaming. It's special, and Nottingham has great fans there, and for them to spend their money to come watch us in a little town in Denmark, it's really special. And I remember after we would win, or we won and got silver, or we won the first one, when the national anthem was playing and hearing them sing, it's a special feeling for sure.
And then a lot of teams in the Elite League who have gone away to play in European competition, they've come back and floundered. The Panthers have done it in the past. But you found a way to keep the team rolling when they got back, despite the disappointment of finishing second.
Right. I mean, it's a lot of games and a lot of nights. That's probably the most obvious tough thing. But I can see, with the Champions League, I've heard and talked to different players and coaches when they're playing Champions League at that intense level, and then you go to wherever up north in Fife, it's a little different atmosphere. I think maybe the motivation factor could have something to do with it. You just play a huge game, and that happens at home too. In our league, if you have a game in Sheffield on Saturday and it's a rivalry, crazy atmosphere, and then you happen to play at home against somebody else at the bottom of the table, those games are a little more fearful as a coach. That's just part of being a pro, and you have to win games, and you have to play the same way, especially in our league. The way the structure is with the regular season is the most important. But we have great guys in our room. I think leadership plays a major part in those situations when you're coming back from tournaments. But it was a really good December and January.
And then going into February, it had that one weekend where I think we lost to Sheffield and Guildford. Then to bounce back straight away and hammer Cardiff in a pretty crazy game, and take a point off Coventry, one of the hottest teams in the league that came out of nowhere this year, really. Then to have that going into that Belfast weekend that never happened, you couldn't have been riding a higher high, could you? Because you bounced back from the disappointment.
Right. That was a huge 2-3 weeks. Those are huge. That's our playoffs right there. The tough weekend, they're not getting 4 points. It's everybody says they hate to lose, and you think teams hate to lose, but our group, you could feel it, you could sense it, you could see it, hear the buses, and we hated it, and got back to work Tuesday. Good game against Cardiff, emotional game, and then like I said, the next game is also another big one. But when you have those emotional ones, it's just human nature to take a little bit breath off or a foot off the pedal. And then Coventry, they're dangerous. They were a really good team this year, so could have easily won that game and had 4-point weekend. And then no matter, we were rolling. We were confident going into Belfast, and we knew how big of a weekend it was. We were ready to go, focused, even though the world was having some major issues. We were still a professional team. Every one of them was ready to go to work, and then get the old phone call right before pregame skate.
And what goes through your mind when you get that phone call? What emotions do you go through?
It really didn't sink in. It didn't sink in for a while that this was really happening. I just had to tell the boys what was happening, and we're heading home. I addressed some of the fans that were there and apologized and said thank you. I addressed them, and then it was just utter disbelief, talking with Goody and Rick on the travel back, just talking about the season. And as I was even talking about the season, it was weird because it had not sunk in. So it was shocking and disappointing. I really was confident with our group.
And do you feel like, because we were all set for one of the closest, most exciting title races in the Elite League history in that running, do you feel a bit robbed, sort of cheated out of that didn't get to happen?
I do. End of the year meetings with everybody on the team, everybody for the most part was like we were ready to go. It would have been pretty tough to win the league championship for the regular season, but I still thought there was a chance. I believed, and then they all mentioned we were good to go in playoffs, and then it was going to be something. But obviously human lives are more important, so it's obviously it's disappointing, and it's something that I guess I'll tell my kids I was a part of.
And say mathematically, I think 5 teams were still in the title, so no matter what some places in South Wales may think, the title race was not over going into those final games.
No, they had a tough schedule to finish. Obviously, they had an advantage, a little bit of advantage, but when that pressure comes and you're in a race, I'm not saying a hockey race. I'm just saying human nature and psychology. If I'm in a race, I'd rather be right behind. I just
what happened to Belfast?
You have right. It's I would rather be right in second, maybe hiding in third. I'm just thinking like a sprint. Just right there, draft a little bit, and then pull away at the end.
And when all the dust was settled and things like that, you ended up with the top point scorer in the league on your team in Sam Hare, and he was also a first-team All-Star along with Mark Matheson.
Right. That's obviously that's huge to have on your team, and they're both leaders, great players, but they're pros and they handle themselves, like the way a pro should handle themselves off the ice. And we were lucky to have them for sure. They brought it every practice, every game, and they were a huge part of our, I guess if you want to call it, success.
And it was kind of a big year for Mark in general because he come back off that, he had that injury in Sheffield, and I don't think he had the people who were saying the kindest things about him after that season in Sheffield. So he kind of came in with a bit between his teeth, and he really proved a point this year, didn't he?
He did. I played with him. I knew he's a good player. I knew he had game, and I think they were not sure if they wanted to sign him or not, going back and forth. And we brought him over, and I knew he would bring a lot to us, and he helped us for sure. He helped us on the ice, helped us off the ice, and he's an ageless wonder, that guy. I don't know how, sometimes he probably played the most minutes on our team and being the oldest, so he it's pretty impressive.
How did you find the working relationship with him as your assistant coach this year?
It was good. It was really good. It's nice to bounce things off him and Rick as well, obviously. It's important to have guys with you, so you can talk and question and think of different ideas. But he's a smart guy. He's been around the game a while, and it was really, really nice to have him around.
And then to have the top point scorer in the league on your team as well, like I think I did an interview with you where you described Sam as a caged animal in North America, and you brought him over and you unleashed him, kind of thing.
Right. Well, to have the leading point scorer is huge. It's an advantage. It helps you win hockey games. You have to put the puck in the net to win the hockey game, and he brought it. He was. Obviously, the points are huge, but it's the other things in the game, I think, that separates him to be towards the top player in the league. I think his compete, his protecting the puck, moving his feet with the puck in the offensive zone is elite for sure. And penalty kill, power play, and the leadership, he was huge.
And it must have been nice for you to just stick him and Jake out there, and those two just had instant chemistry from, I think it all came from an injury to George that they ended up together. But when they got together, that was it then.
Right. That was our top line, and they weren't, I wasn't going to change those two around. They had some chemistry for sure. Sam's a shooter, and Jake can do a little bit of both. He can, he can score, and he can pass as well. So, when they were rolling together, it was fun to watch for sure.
And so 1920 was the first ice hockey season I imagine you've had where you didn't play a minute of professional ice hockey. How did you find that?
I just, again, I'm a one day at a time guy, but I think I just blocked it out, thinking, oh, there'll be a chance. Oh, there'll be a lot of injuries, but it didn't hit me, until probably the very end of the year. So yeah, it was tough. It's when you don't, you can't take it for granted. I try to tell the guys that as much as I can, but it's a fun game. And there were times when I was bummed out and not happy or not playing enough or not on this, not on that, going to practice. But when it's taken away from you, you'll miss it for sure. It's the best sport in the world for sure.
Do times like this make that even greater, that sense of how great this game is and how much you miss it now that you can't have it, kind of thing?
Right. NHL playoffs, there's nothing better. And that is best time of year for sports. Not only NHL playoffs, you got the Masters, you got all sorts of great sports going on, and to not be able to see the race, game sevens, packed houses. I like watching the Canadian feeds. I think they do a great job, watching Hockey Night in Canada and stuff like that. Oh, it's too bad. I think there's still a chance with the NHL, but to have it just gone is really crazy, and I will not take it for granted again.
And when it all comes back, it's going to feel such a relief when everything comes back.
Right. I hope, and I think the fans all over the world are going to be chomping at the bit to get back to watch a live hockey game, because it's special, to be at a hockey game, the environment, the speed, the pace. It's, I think people have been in quarantine here for a little bit, and I'm ready to get back on the ice, and for those fans to be out even longer, not being able to watch a live sporting event, let alone just hockey. It's going to be, hopefully people are running at the gates to watch the Panthers.
So 1920 saw you don the suit and tie for the whole season. If you could go back and start 1920 again, knowing what you know now, would you do anything differently?
That's a tough one, because the first thing that pops in your head is the losing streak, and how could I have fixed the beginning of the year? I think maybe beginning of the year, I was a little hard on the refs, to be honest. I was yelling at them a little bit. I think my emotions were a little high strung, and I don't think that helps anything. And I think, maybe the guys can feed off that. Maybe they get a little riled up and they get nervous or whatever. So maybe at the beginning of the year, just try to control my emotions a little bit better, because it was a different world, kind of just sitting there waiting. Okay, pregame speech. Okay, waiting. And then, I wouldn't say anxiety, but the angst of, okay, let's get going, kind of builds up. But I would say tone down on the refs, and the emotion at the beginning of the year would be one thing that I would change for sure.
Would you say that's your biggest lesson you've learned from being just behind the bench?
Oh, I mean, I learned a lot. I learned not only just the coaching side of it, maybe the recruiting side of it, what type of players really help and what you need. I learned little things there. Learned, what guys need in terms of, some guys need to be yelled at, some guys need to be babied a little, just, talk to a little bit. Some people kind of finding what gets guys going is the biggest thing as a coach. Not only just being able to get them motivated, but getting them motivated individually is a huge thing. And I definitely learned a lot.
And when you speak about the right kind of players, you can really tell that with the little changes that happen throughout the season, can't you? Like a player like Jens Jacobs comes in, he's one of the 13th all-time top point scorer in the Allsvenskan. Just doesn't work for him in the Elite League. He's replaced by, I think, Jake, and it just clicks for Jake straight away. So that kind of thing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's a lot of examples like that for sure. I mean, it's pretty hard to get it right. Obviously, your first time, and he's first time. Every single person absolutely perfect. It's that's not easy. That's probably almost impossible. But yeah, it's a different league. It's got small rinks. It's got big rinks. It's got big boys. It's got some small little fast guys. So you gotta find the right tangibles to fit in the Elite League.
So I'm going to end this on a bit of a positive note, because with everything that's going on in the world right now, and I'm not going to let you pick that Belfast weekend, the doubleheader win. What were your top from the 1920s?
That's not nice. That's not nice. Well, Sam's goal, and I'm not stealing it from you. I was going to Sam's goal, call the timeout, packed house, must-win situation, high-pressure situation, call a timeout, talk to the guys, go out, score in the power play to win it. Crowd goes crazy. I fist pump on the bench. That was, that's a coach's not dream, but that's what coaches live for. That was a lot of fun for sure.
Have you ever felt that sense of relief before?
Right. That was a weird feeling because you're so excited, but at the same time you're excited and relieved. So that's pretty rare, two feelings to get simultaneously. So, that's one of the highlights for sure. The Belfast weekend, when everything clicked, we talked about that. That's a great feeling from this side of it to see it all click and all work together. That was huge. I think in Denmark on our second round there, Continental Cup, in that silver medal game, it wasn't. I mean, a lot of guys would just shut it down, like, oh, whatever, tournament's over. But with the amount of guys we had and the will, the blocking shots in a silver plate second place game to win that game, it was a really proud and happy moment for the guys, and to be a part of that was really special.
I remember you talking to the players before even the first game happened in the hotel room. You told them that, like, there's fans here. We still want to go all out. We want to finish as high as we can in this, no matter what happens in that first game.
Right, and that's another reason to leave it all out there. The fans travel, spend their own money to get there and support us. And if we were just gonna lay an egg, that would be that would wake up the hockey gods in the wrong way, I would say. So we played the right way as pros, and it was we dominated that game.
And probably the best
besides the start.
And perhaps the best thing about that whole game that I don't think is captured on the cameras from Denmark is George's celebration.
Yep, topped it off with a good laugh to end the crazy tournament. But it was he's got to work on his celebrations for sure. He tripped. It was I think there's a picture of people literally on our team looking down and laughing at him.
I think it's Matheson and Pellini who just
laughing. That's a good picture. But it was a special year. It was a lot of fun. I know Nottingham, hearing the rumblings of the fans being really, really frustrated with what's been happening the past few years. But I think we had a legitimate chance to win at least a trophy. And obviously we missed it by an inch or if Jake would have buried that breakaway. And then playoffs, confident, and then you never know coming from behind. We had a solid group.
And you talk about fans' frustrations. I think one of yours and Guy's big things was changing the culture in Nottingham. And every time you signed a player, it was, oh, this guy's a great guy, or this guy's a great human being. And that was true. Like, there was everyone on that team was the easiest group of people to deal with, and the answer was always yes.
That's huge. I mean, and that's great to hear that they were nice to you. That's nice. It goes a long way. Yeah, it's huge. I mean, there's a ton of different reasons why Guy and myself believe in that and tried to do that. I think one example is during that stretch at the beginning of the year, if you had some guys that were on their own page, a little selfish, grumpy, it could have turned for the worst, and it could have been a very tough time. And being good people, resilient, nice, unselfish, figuring it out, getting out of the hole, I guess, if you want to call it, we were in, that I guarantee if we didn't have good people, it wouldn't have been the way things turned around. And then the other factor, I think, is if you truly like everyone on the team, and you don't have to be best friends, but you respect them and you enjoy being around everyone, and you see your buddy blocking a shot or getting in a fight or taking a big hit or doing all those things, and everybody going in the right direction when everybody gets along is extremely powerful.
Well, that's a testament to the players and to you and Guy as well for the environment you created.
Thanks a lot, Dan. You've done a solid job too.
Well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day and doing this. And
hey, no problem.
The final message is just stay home, stay safe, and we'll get back together as soon as we can.
Yeah, we'll ride it out, and you know, it's a tough time for sure, but life is a storm. He's a smart guy. He's been around the game a while, and it's you know, it was really nice to have him around.
I just lost my train of thought a minute then. I hadn't frozen or anything.
It's all right. I was looking like, is it frozen? But you were moving. I was like, what's going on here?
No, I've gone out of sync in my questions, so I've thrown myself off a little bit.
You'll be all right.
Maybe don't put this one on film. This is tactical.
Head coach Tim Wallace joins us on Panthers TV with Jeremiah's chimney.
Abort.